Have you heard there's a chill in the air? You know, I'm always going to be your weatherman, so here's the map. Big old Arctic high coming on down. Of course, Arctic doesn't mean below zero, it just means its source region was the Arctic. So that's this time of year going to mean our lows are going to drop down to right around freezing, and if the wind settles down, that's a frost for a lot of the areas. So that's my garden behind me there. We need to take care of business today. Pick anything I think is going to be worth picking, because after tonight, we probably won't have much of a garden. All right, here's a tour of the main garden area, and you can see those are green peppers, followed by the Roma tomatoes, which are making an amazing comeback. Some new offshoots really started producing. Too bad a lot of those green tomatoes aren't going to make it. Around the back here, we see a mixture of big boys and some better boys. And just, I let those cherry tomatoes grow everywhere. They literally go everywhere in the garden. Then the banana peppers are excellent, beautiful color. You'll see more on those later in the video when I process those. I did a second batch of cucumber. That vine grew, it produced one, and now you can see it's done. There is a couple of the banana peppers. I'll show you more in a minute. There's a whole bowl of jalapeno peppers, and then there's just a mixture of everything else I pulled off the garden today. And as I said, it's going to get pretty cold tonight, so I didn't want to take any chances. So roasted peppers, and this time of year the bell peppers are pretty tiny. You can see, I'll put my hand in here in a second and you'll see a size comparison. They're pretty small, but they're perfect for roasting. That, along with the brilliant colors on those banana peppers, just wonderful. So we'll get that oven on 400, put them all in there. And what you do here is not precise. You can keep them in usually until some of the skin blackens. And it's probably going to be about 20 minutes total. Here I'm flipping them over to make sure that it gets done on both sides. But it really doesn't matter because you can see there's already some pretty good blackening occurring, and the skin on those parts of the pepper will just peel right off. That'll be part of the processing that I eventually do with these peppers. And if you're asking, what do you do with them after that? Well, you could just eat them. Also, you can put these on a grill outside. You can put them in a pan on the stove. That's fine too. Anything that you want to do. This just seemed to be easier at the time to do it this way. This is the first time I've tried it in the oven, by the way, at home. So then here you just pull them out and they're done, and they're of course too hot to handle right now. So, and they're beautiful, and you pull them out. And if you want to leave the blackened skin on these peppers, that would be acceptable. Certainly if you were served this in a restaurant as part of fajitas, for instance, you'd probably eat that. You wouldn't have any qualms with it. But what I did here is this is really informal. I just processed them a little bit, removed as many seeds as I could. Again, I'm not a perfect science here. I pulled some of the skin off some of these peppers. You can actually kind of fumbling around a little bit with this because I hadn't really thought it out very well. But the end product is it was coming out pretty well. Now, what you can do with these is you can store them just in the refrigerator. You can also put them in oil, let's say an olive oil. If you do that, they'll probably last a refrigerator for, probably a number of months. One tip I'll give you on that is that just don't let any of the peppers be exposed to the oxygen, then you are increasing the possibility of mold when you do that. Also, you could add vinegar to this, technically, although if you're using oil, they're going to separate out a little bit. But if you can bring the acid content of the liquid it's suspended in up a little bit, you're going to drastically reduce the chances of any mold developing on these. Also, if you put them in oil and decide to freeze them, you could get probably a good year out of these peppers, and they're going to be just fine. I put them in salads. That's one really good way to put them. Sometimes I'll mix them with my eggs in the morning. We do something at the house called a cauliflower mash, where we just take cauliflower in a pressure cooker, mix it with garlic and some chicken broth and some Parmesan cheese. And sometimes these are like little candies. It's amazing to me that people don't realize that when you take green peppers like this, or banana peppers, or even tomatoes, and you reduce them like this, get the water out of them, it's kind of like a partial dehydration. They really are pretty sweet. Now again, I think sugar is added to everything on this planet unnecessarily. I'm not against sugar. I like a good dessert just like the next person. But I think people have kind of lost touch with the idea that some of these vegetables are really quite sweet. on their own, and they're fairly low carb and pretty good for you, as I was once a type 2 diabetic, and I've got that now down to probably pre-diabetic or before, and that's a really important safety tip. So that's my pepper lesson for today. I'll bring you some more garden tips later on.